Trustees attending online, I'd just like to verify your presence. If you're able to turn your camera on, that's good. So we have Trustee Powell, are you online?
I'm here, thank you.
Trustee Vice Chair Rohan Charada. Thank you. Trustee Agnew. You're online? No need to turn the camera on. I know you're driving.
I'm just driving, Mr. Chair. I'm just driving, so hopefully it's okay.
No
Yeah, I'm
problem,
just driving.
Trustee Kelly.
Hi, Chair. Yes, I'm here.
Trustee Hannah.
Hello, Chair. Yes, I am.
Thank you. Thank you. Call to order. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Halton Catholic District School Board on Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and will also be posted on the board's channel. Trustees, in order to be recognized, please use the hand up feature in Teams. Be automatically placed in queue. And board participants, including our senior staff and trustees, please note that we have a very sensitive microphone system. So unless prompted by myself, please refrain from speaking, and it's not your turn to speak. Item 1.1, land acknowledgement, the opening prayer, the Our Father national anthem, and I ask staff to please start us off with the land acknowledgement.
Halton, as we know it today,
is rich in the history and modern traditions
of many First Nations and the Métis.
From the lands of the Anishinaabe
to the Attawandaron,
the Haudenosaunee,
and the Métis. These lands surrounding the Great Lakes
are steeped in Indigenous history.
As we gather today on these treaty lands,
our Catholic social teachings
call us in solidarity
with our Indigenous brothers and sisters
to honor and respect the four directions: lands,
waters, plants, animals, and ancestors
that walked before us.
All of these wonderful elements of creation exist,
gifted to us by our Creator God. We acknowledge and thank
the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation
for being stewards of this traditional territory.
Thank you. Student Trustee Parasuram, would you please lead us in the opening prayer, the Our Father national anthem?
Yes, please. So, loving God, as we gather at the beginning of this new year, we thank you for the blessings of the year that has passed and for the opportunities that lie ahead. We ask you to be present in our work as we begin this new chapter together, and grant us renewed wisdom, patience, and discernment as we make the decisions that will shape the future. Help us to lead with integrity, compassion, and courage. May this new year be guided by your Spirit. Help us to listen openly and collaborate faithfully, and to act as faithful stewards and bold advocates for equity, dignity, and opportunities within our schools and communities. I will now lead us into our Father. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
and free. We stand on the holy. We stand on the holy. Thank you, student trustee personnel. We move on to item 1.2, motions arising from in-camera. There were no motions from the in-camera session that will require a vote in the public session. Our next order of business is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda, and do trustees want any item removed from the consent agenda? Trustee Saunders?
I like item 9.1 removed from the agenda, and I have a point of order as well.
Just 1 second, let me see 9.1. So you want item 9.1, which is an action item from the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, and then your point of order?
Yeah, it's Robinson's rules.
Right.
In the
state the point of order.
Is that within the context of this 9.1, there's a threat made to the board, and according to Robinson's rules, that threat cannot be coerced or threatened in considering
okay.
I have, if you want, I can read something. It would take about a minute.
No, let me first think about it. You said there's a threat.
There is a threat. I can
within 9.1.
Within 9.1. Okay. Do you want me to read?
No. Okay. Can you do one thing before I make my ruling on that?
Yeah.
Pull up 9.1. Can you point me to the threat?
Yeah, it's in the attached letter.
9.1.
Yeah, it's in the conclusion part. In the conclusion, you'll see where it says, a removal of this book would function as a form of anti-Black racism, reinforcing the very structure of oppression we are attempting to dismantle. So I think that's a threat and coercion against the board. And according to Robertson's rules, this is called sort of out of order. Motion may be ruled out of order by the chair if it is dilatory, absurd, or frivolous. A threat to take a certain action if a motion is not passed is often seen as an attempt to coerce the assembly, which violates the principles of free and fair debate. And then it says decorum. Members are required to maintain decorum and avoid all personalities, never alluding to the motives of others. If that threat involves personal attacks or disparagement, the chair can rule it out of order.
Thank you, Trustee Saunders. The last statement says it all. I do not see a threat to any person or individual, so I will rule your point of order out of order. Okay, so your point of order is out of order. Remember, right? We appeal that, if at all you want to. Otherwise, we continue with the items 9.1 removal. So we now will continue with the agenda. So trustees online, trustees in the boardroom, there is a request for removal of item 9.1 from the agenda. Now, this is an action item and needs, would get some help from trustee. It needs to be unanimous. Very much it's unanimous to remove this, unanimous too.
I think it's two-thirds.
Some help from
any member who immediately objects to the consideration of a question to prevent it from being discussed requires two-thirds.
Give me a second. Let me just confirm that. So I would rule to add an item, it is unanimous, and to remove an item which is existing, we will just go by the board agenda approval process, which is a majority, simple majority. Any trustees have any comments on this? Okay, so.
I'm opposed to withdrawing it.
Okay, and let me get to that, trustee Agnew. We are just in the process here. So,
Thank you.
trustee, yeah, thank you. So we have an item which is requested to be removed, item 9.1. Any further additions, deletions to the agenda?
Chair.
Vice Chair? You have a hand. We are talking about the removal or addition of an item to the agenda.
I just need to go back to the original one, but I can wait. I just need clarification on, are we removing it to discuss or are we removing it altogether? I'm not quite clear on that.
Let me get clarification. Trustee Saunders, do you want to remove it totally from the agenda?
Yes, I'd remove it from the agenda unless we move it into a discussion item, but I would want to remove it from an action.
So let's be clear. You want to remove it from an action item and move it to an information item?
We can do that. Yeah.
So what's your decision?
Oh, that's fine by me. Yeah.
Okay, so trustee of vice chair, what I'm hearing is this items to be removed as an action item and put it as an information item from trustee Saunders.
Okay,
Any
thank you for getting the clarification on that want. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any further clarification from trustees? So trustees, we are going to vote on the agenda with an amendment to remove item 9.1. If that fails, then we go back to the original agenda without. So clear?
When you say remove, do you mean remove and put as an information item?
So exactly, that's what you want, right?
Remove it as an action item. Yeah.
But an information item.
Information item.
Trustees all on the same page?
Sorry.
Trustee Caravella?
You, Mr. Chair, I'm concerned about what I feel is, although you ruled against it, that the threat remains. So whether it's an information item or an action item, I'm concerned about that.
Correct.
So I'll be against having it.
That's okay. That's okay. So trustees, there is a request to remove item 9.1 from the agenda. It is an action item. So I'm going to take a vote. And if that passes, that item goes out. If it fails, then we go back to vote on the agenda, original agenda. Okay?
Still hands up.
Trustee Powell? You have your
Sorry,
hand up?
Chair, that was, you actually just clarified, right? That was my question was, please clarify, because I'm still confused, but
Okay.
we're voting on removing it. Got it.
Yes, we are voting on the agenda. Can we put the agenda up, please, and I come to item 9.1? Okay, trustees, I'm going to call the vote
It's a hand up.
on removal.
Mr. Chair, point of privilege, just I raised my hand. Through you to Superintendent Kroll, is it not a requirement to satisfy the request that it be brought as an action item to the board?
It is, I can answer that question.
Okay.
It is.
So our obligation is we have to vote on it.
Second. So the thing is, as usual, going through the agenda approval process, it's open to trustees to add, delete. Correct. Agenda.
Okay, so
That's true.
what is the ramification of not satisfying that?
Let's go step by step. Let's take a vote on this. Let's see where we land and let's make a decision because we are getting into unknown territory in the board. So we're going to take a vote on removal of item 9.1 from the agenda. Trustee Kennedy, how do you vote?
Just have a point of clarification, just for a second.
Yes, sure.
I want to hear from,
Sure.
sorry, Trustee Murphy. I was looking at the policy, maybe just overthinking it, but it says the decision regarding the material will be made by the board and a written notice will give it to the complainant. So is it possible that decision is made by the director, who's director of the board, as opposed to?
We'll get to that point when we get to the item.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we're voting on the agenda. Let's stay focused on the agenda. There's a request to remove one item. Let's finish that and let's move on. So Trustee Kennedy, how do you vote in favor? Trustee Agnew?
Opposed.
Vice Chair Rohan Chanada,
Opposed.
Trustee Kelly,
Opposed.
Trustee Sanders,
Favor.
Trustee Murphy,
Opposed.
Trustee Persiram, Trustee Hannah,
Opposed.
Trustee Carabella,
In favor.
Trustee Powell.
Opposed.
We have 3 in favor, 5 opposed, no abstention, motion. The request to remove fails. So the item stays on the agenda. So we are going to vote on the agenda as it was originally now. Trustees, are there any further additions to the agenda? Seeing none, let's vote on the original agenda as presented. Trustee Agnew,
In favor.
sorry.
A mover and a seconder.
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
We need a mover and a seconder. We need a mover and seconder. May I ask for a mover for the agenda? Looking for a mover, please?
I can move
can move it.
Powell,
Okay.
I'll second.
One at a time. So Trustee Powell moves. Looking for a seconder online. Trustee Agnew seconds.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Trustee Agnew, how do you vote?
I'm in favor, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Rohan Chanada,
In favor?
Trustee Kelly,
In favor.
Trustee Saunders, Trustee Murphy,
In favor.
Trustee Persiram,
In favor.
Trustee Hannah,
In favor.
Trustee Carabella,
Opposed.
Trustee Powell,
In favor?
Trustee Kennedy.
Opposed.
We have 5 in favor, 3 opposed, no abstention, motion carries, the agenda is approved. We shall now move on to item number 3, declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest to be declared? Seeing none, we shall move on to our next order of business, which is presentation, item number 4, senior staff updates, director's annual report. Director Klein, please begin your presentation.
Just give me one moment here. Sorry, I shut off my Outlook. This gives everybody a chance to think about their escape route. If you need to do that. Sorry, I had it open and I shut it. I'm going to start by just saying that this is one of the most delightful parts of the job is every year directors and the 72 boards are asked to share the opportunity to look back over the past year. And by past year, I mean 24-25. So we always seem to be a little off on this. So does the past year. Directors around the province start sending out their annual reports. First ones I usually see are sometimes
early December. And we usually have that wrapped up as a whole by February. Just even this morning, I got two, one from way up in Kenora and one from, I can't remember where the other board was, just to show the reports. And it's always a delight to be able to go and see what other boards do because they're the reflection of distinct communities. You will see in front of you a card that has on it a QR code. This is not a trap or a trick from our IT department to see if you're going to do something wrong. This is legit, is it not right, Bill?
I'll go with it's right.
Okay, thank you. It is true. 2 thumbs up. And you can use that again to direct yourself to the site. Regardless, it is on the board website, which I have here. And we'll go through that right now. I want to take the opportunity, of course, to thank Andrea Swindon and her team. That is comprised of Rob DeFranco, Amanda Bartucci, and Juliana Blagovic, who have done stellar work to create this. I will say, too, that this is not a reflection of one person. It's not a reflection of one snapshot in time. This is a reflection of 365 days of some ongoing efforts by every single person in this board who works in this board, plus the connections we have with our community, our parents, our parishes as well. So there's really a rabbit's nest here of paths you can take within it. And I would encourage you to take your time and to encourage parents and others to go through this as well. So I will, and I apologize to people that I do end up skipping over, but you look through these and you're seeing beautiful faces, you're seeing people at camps, you're seeing some of our students engaged in learning, engaged in trying to transform the world around them. And the director's going to skip over some of this because we only have so much time. And it is still working, which is good. Every single one of these windows that we go through, these portals, of course, reflect our MYSP. So the first one, of course, is the achieving. And the achieving has within it priorities and objectives that are within that priority. Namely, in this case, to provide educational experiences to support every learner, focus on a high quality of instruction and program for academic excellence, create learning and working environments that set conditions for achievement and growth, and set students as the co-creators of their learning and their pathways. You don't have to be an amazing pedagogue to know that's really important. Parents know your children engaged in their own selection of where they want to learn and how they want to learn. It's a powerful strategy right there in itself. So I'm going to highlight a few things. I am not going to belabor this as well, but the 37th Annual Student Awards of Excellence were held last spring. That is an awesome opportunity for us to celebrate our students. This is where I feel very terrible because I'm going to be skipping through these beautiful faces of our students because every one of our schools had someone who was honored. So, mea culpa. That's a lot of kids. EQAO, again, the results. So this year, we just looked at the ones from last year. Last year, we've been looking at the ones from the year before. So now you really got to leap backward in this. But the highlight is that we have continued to outpace others and to go surpass or stay even with the best and the brightest here in Ontario as a province. And there's, again, a myriad of line graphs that help us with that as well, not to mention the bit of a caveat and description of what we mean and what we don't mean by some of these assessments. In terms of the objectives that we have, it's hard to say if there's a board that offers as wide a variety of programs that we do. And I'd like to highlight the fact that St. Thomas Aquinas, which has an IB program that goes back to 2012, that's a long time ago, that we had 3 students there who managed to score 43 out of 45, and all of them have gone on to wonderful things in terms of post-secondary work. to celebrate these exceptional graduates. Those, of course, were Silvana, Luis, and Ethan. The IB program itself, again, goes back many years and is something that is a big draw for our students and our parents as a pathway and as a selection that is very, very popular. The Governor General's bronze medal has gone to a whole list of students here. I will not go through them in terms of great detail, but if you look at some of the scores on them, they're almost unfathomable in terms of the level of skill and level of success that we have amongst our students. I know Superintendent Skripek noted this before. I think we have this young man here with us. But Max Pimentel, grade 9 student at Holy Trinity, scored the highest score in the entire planet when it came to Caribou math. And we're very, again, pleased with that. We had writers, little kindergarten we're going to show coming up, but we also have Mia, who is at Corpus Christi Catholic Secondary School. And our friends at Owecta have for, oh Lord, 30 or 40 years at least, had the Writers Award that they've promoted, and she is the award winner for that. Athletes who are in various levels. We have students, we had a multi-sport athlete here like Alexa. We have a young man that you're going to see coming up that's a swimmer in terms of the work that they've done. And a lot of these have their skills honed outside of school, but we have, again, myriad of coaches and leaders within our schools, staff, who do a lot of work beyond the regular work that they do to promote these students as well. Camp Brebeuf, which is, again, part of our partnership with the CYO. Our schools have leadership camps there. Other boards do as well. The regional sports program at St. FX is one that we highlight, again, as an example. There's our swimmer. We have students that ended up going to Orlando, Florida, when things were different in Orlando, Florida, in terms of DECA. Again, and many, of course, who were in the DECA program ended up going to business in either university or through college. The science fair projects were widely varied, and again, just reflecting the interests of our students who participated in that annual event as well. And I won't go through each of them individually, but you can see how many there were. And again, these are future scientists, future problem solvers, future collaborators, as we ensure that we create wonderful citizens for Canada and the world. You are more than aware through some of my reports and the many reports that Superintendent Del Sordo provides for us. And we have pathways within pathways in terms of skilled trades. You know about partnerships and other initiatives. Notre Dame recently was in one of our reports that students avail themselves of. And again, that's a highlight in terms of how we focus on our achievement as well. Another great leader in terms of winning. This is the young man that I noted earlier in terms of his writing prowess in kindergarten, in terms of getting an award, the Jamie from St. Mark too. I met this young guy last year. And again, if you could get a sense from someone that they're going far, this was the young man here. Riz Botros, who comes from St. Kateri, is one of only 100 students who got the Schulich scholarship for going into for heading into university. And again, that's quite an honor because it's a good chunk of money and something that will help him, help his family in terms of the next pathway that he's going to be heading down. And we look forward to hearing good things about him and wish him all the best. And again, this little tiptoe through the successes and the celebrations of the sport are very easy, as you can see that Andrea and her team have created something that's very easy to follow as we go through. In terms of believing, again, this report is connected directly to the MYSP, which is, or is the really the plan and the mission of that's set forth by you as trustees. And it's must be reassuring for you to see how it takes flesh and how it gains traction over the last year or two. Objectives within believing are to uphold a joyful Catholic learning environment rooted in justice, compassion, and service, honor and respect the inherent dignity of each student and staff member, foster the relationship between home, school, and parish. Theological theme, of course, is the one that we've had. We will be shifting, this is our last year of it, in terms of the quote from the book of Micah, what does the Lord ask of you? The year that we're looking back upon, the theme was kindness, underrated virtue, maybe an endangered virtue nowadays. And it's something that we've, of course, instilled from our kindergartens all the way up. And you've been blessed to see some of the amazing things that our students do that show kindness in so many different ways. The Keeping Christ in Christmas, that is a perennial favorite amongst all of us here. Not all boards do something like this. Again, not this past year, the last year before that, we had celebrated that. And it was a great opportunity to see the visual art, the music, poetry, the storytelling that our students create that tie in the incarnation, the miracle, the nativity with the reality of the world today, just as people have been doing for 2,000 years. And that is, of course, as you're well aware, the joint effort with our friends at OECTA in the elementary and secondary as well. We have for many years provided moral and financial support for that, to support our students and to show what great things we do. We're all aware of course, of the contest that allows us to look at the art that we create for our cards. The cards are then purchased, and the money from those goes to our charity. I'm not sure how much money this board overall, over its years of existence, has pushed into the community to help level the playing field, to help serve the gospel message. And if you add it up with other boards, particularly Catholic boards in this province, we'd be looking at billions of dollars that have been given to help with our society, as is the gospel call and our baptismal commitment. Not to mention all the good things that have happened for students who look back and they realize that they can make a difference as well. Catholic Education Week comes every year. It is something that is well-resourced by OXTA and others. And what we have last year was the theme of Pilgrims of Hope, perfectly aligned, of course, with the year of Jubilee. And all our schools took part in that as well. And it's another great example of celebrating the gift of Catholic education in our province. Last year was, I won't say an anomaly, but it was a pretty special year for blessings and openings of schools. I think Marvin and I were out quite a bit, and trustees here all were at some of these and spoke and did amazing things. We had St. Cecilia, we had St. Veronica, we had St. Josephine Bakita, and we had, I remember this because the microphone went wonky, we had St. Kateri Tekakwitha as well. That's amazing. High school and the 3 elementary schools in 1 year to be blessed and opened. Not all of those cases had Bishop Crosby, but in most of them we had bishops. And again, it was a reflection of the amazing gift that comprises that community, which is its students and its staff. We had 2 schools, St. Teresa of Calcutta and Sacred Heart of Jesus, celebrate their silver anniversaries. And we were invited, and we attended masses there and celebrations at the school to mark 25 years. And it was nice to see at those ceremonies. I have vivid recollections of speaking to the assembled at Mass or when Mass was over and seeing there was always a section where their hair was more like my color than some of the other younger teachers' color. And it was teachers who'd been there 25 years, we probably started 25 years before that. And the sense of history, the sense of family, the sense of a connection was really, really, really beautiful. And again, a reflection of this vibrant and a faith-filled community. Jillian Federico is our system chaplain and faith formation lead. We've known her for years. She is recognized provincially within the education community that does lead faith formation. You should know, particularly within the diocese. But beyond that, you're probably aware that she has a storied and stellar history in terms of a lot of volunteer work and work, particularly when it comes to a very traditional pillars of Canadian society, within the military, within respect for the crown, etc. And she was awarded the King Charles III Coronation Medal. Still is a little hard to say King Charles III, but there you have it, King Charles III Coronation Medal. And of course, the list of her commitments from birthright all the way to work for veterans. So not just those who serve today, but those who have served, and sometimes after that have struggles and maybe aren't as valued as they were when they were in uniform. Just going back again, whether it's for Cancer Society, whether it's for heart, whether it's for food banks here in Halton region, there's a visual, just to say it all. The literal tons of food that is collected, and we are very much aware that the challenges that are facing many people in this community are not necessarily abating, and our students are empowered to be able to do something to help with that. And again, pictures worth 1,000 words within these. And I'll just scroll through those. I have the absolute memory when we were creating the NYSP, that whole sense of a company. We were actually fiddling around at one point with variations of the word accompany. I remember, is it accompanying, accompaniment, accompany? Some of you might remember that. But the key is that accompany sense. And I think we were thinking of the road to Emmaus as the story of the revelation of the gospel message of peace, of joy in the Holy Spirit that comes through the accompaniment. The objective within belonging is, again, something that our parents often talk about. Achieving, if you remember, almost is always top of the list when it came to what people think about our board. But right after that was that sense of they want their children to belong. They want their children to have a sense that they belong to a community that envelops them. And you don't have to be a child psychologist to know that's so important for resilience and overall health. To cultivate schools and workplaces that are safe, inclusive, and welcoming. So not just for our students and our learners, but for all of us. It's over 6,000 of us who work here, and nearly 37,000 are here to learn. Value the identity and perspective of every student and every staff member. Support students and staff to thrive in their physical and mental health, and build connections and shared purpose, the community to be informed and engaged. We do often have reports here where we talk about staff training. It is ongoing with shortages of some staff that you're well aware of. It's a little more difficult to do some of the staff training. But loads of ongoing training, whether it's for literacy, math, pedagogy, human rights and equity, faith and family life, et cetera, et cetera. We try where we can, again, notwithstanding the challenge of having shortages of some staff, to have job-embedded learning, so teachers can learn in the context of having their students in front of them and having someone else with them to help guide them in their profession. We do a lot of work on that. One of the things trustees, I think, would be proud of is the fact that we have responded in the last 2 years or more to the clear call from our community that we need to do a better job in terms of honoring and supporting our Black students and families and the community. And we've done a lot of work for that. And sometimes that growth, candy growing pains, involves a little bit of pain and discomfort. And we've got a long way to go. But in terms of that belonging, it is oh so important. So whether it is Black History Month, which is coming up, sometimes called Black History and Heritage Month as well. Last year, which is this report, focus was really on looking at the future and looking at what the possibilities are for our students as whether they're kindergarten or all the way through grade 12, and thinking about pathways, thinking about how they connect to community. And so there were lots of things to highlight in terms of what this board did to try and support them and trying to narrow the gaps and try and move forward. The Black Excellence Student Symposium was one that I was at for a little bit. It was a buzz with energy, creativity. It was something that allowed for opportunities for our stakeholders in the community and our partners in the community to come in and help us. High school students to help with younger students as well. So to see those connections for our students and really that sense of Black joy was palpable and great to be part of. The series of workshops were there. I will not go through them all, but there were tons, and the students were very responsive and very grateful and thankful for the opportunities that were provided for them. And of course, a lot of this links to all of it links really to a lot of things. We have, of course, equity policy here in Ontario and a series of other policies and documents. But for us, it also connects with the progress report on anti-Black racism and the strategic plan we have for that. I won't link to it, but if you go to that, it is, I was going to say, kind of a 1-2 pager that has some really nice visual keys to see the progress in terms of checks or half checks in terms of how we move forward, which hopefully shows, again, some things to be proud of and also things to say we've got more work to do on. School climate survey, and again, that is something that all boards do, but we had done that again last year, and the results of that, again, there's a link here, shows again the ongoing commitment to the community to do the DIP test to see where people are in terms of their perceptions of and their responses to what we do. So we can celebrate, of course, and we can also say, okay, we could do better in these areas as well. The first elementary equity symposium was, you're going to see a gray-haired old guy there. At one point, I was talking to some of these students here, absolutely filled with energy. And again, these are from our elementary schools, grade 7s and 8s. The world is going to be good because these guys were committed to creating a better world. When to see high school students there working with them was phenomenal. And that was, again, last year. And it was something that, again, made us very, very proud. Oh, I'll skip over that guy. And of course, Pride Month as well is now something that is part of the fabric of what we do here, and other boards do as well, to ensure that all our students feel that their uniqueness and that their gifts are celebrated, honored in a safe environment for them at all times. And trustees are aware too of our annual mass and celebration for those who are embarking on that next chapter of retirement. And again, at that point, we had 83 staff members. That's a great opportunity. Our staffs, whether they're teachers or others, when you ask them, maybe not directly, but indirectly even, you talk to them, 99.9% of them do not see what they do as a job. They see it as a vocation. They see it as a calling. Some of them who are, just as an example, teachers, because that's where I come from, that profession. Some of them, they were a teacher when they were 6 years old, teaching their 4-year-old brother. It's just what they do. And they see it as part of their identity and part of how they get a value out of life. And for Catholics, of course, you see it as participating in the unfolding of creation. Again, more examples here of some of the celebrations for our staffs, or for our students, and the work that they do. Best Buddies Dance, bar none. If you had to ask senior staff if one thing that they regret the most, it's when they forgot about it because they had some other meeting they were planned or they were called away. But if there's anything you can cancel, you will do that to get to the Best Buddies dance. Joy is underrated, and the joy that you see at these is key. All educators, whether they're in the Catholic system or not, owe a debt to their students of inspiring them with hope and I think in joy. In the Catholic system, we have, again, that secret sauce that we have in terms of gospel message that we're created out of joy and for joy, and the creation itself is one that's beautiful and infused with God. I've been there a couple of times. I've never had to dance either, so that's a success for me. If you are at Loyola and you're lucky enough to, where's the picture? I had it. There was a picture at one point of the cakes. Okay, there was something I saw that had the picture. There they are. These things are, we joke at home when somebody cooks something really good that, that would be like $50 at a fancy restaurant. These things would be worth a lot of money at a fancy restaurant, created by our students. And again, a wonderful way to celebrate, a wonderful way to connect, a wonderful way for our students to feel proud of the work that they do. And it's, of course, and to get a little bit of sense of business because they roll money into the work they do. So some good skills in terms of fiscal management as well. Lots of work we've done to ensure that our students have a sense that whereas they're not built necessarily to serve the economy, that their parents and others do want them to leave the house at one point and go make it on their own and do something that is part of their passion, but to be able to contribute to society and lots of opportunities to learn about their the path ahead of them. Becoming, to embed equity and inclusion in our policies and actions, to develop and support staff as professionals, collaborators, and leaders, transform environments and practices to respond to the changing needs and conditions. Plus ça change, as it says in French, the more things change, the more they stay the same in that regard. So basically goes through the work we've done to ensure that we're communicating what our MYSP is, and go through those as well, see maybe Marvin in it or myself. Opportunities that we've engaged the community, including the Minister of Education and other dignitaries. Talk about celebration, a lot of work we've done through trustee lobbying, which is extremely important. Trustees who were at Oxta last week know that whether it's local or provincial, the relationships with our civic leaders is very important, and that has borne fruit. Looks like something Marvin makes on his computer. And again, just the way we have transformed our space. If you were to go to Loyola, especially if you were there 2 years ago, you'll see the transformation of this room as well. This project is phenomenal, and it is now a newly transformed place as well that is totally linked in terms of its technology and aligns, of course, with all sorts of subject areas in our high schools, and aesthetically absolutely beautiful. And then the work we've done to move forward. After a lot of lobbying, a lot of praying, particularly for our trustee O'Hearn Trinata, we have begun to turn over some dirt and move forward in terms of a new school that will be in 1.5 years from now. There you go, empty field, remember that. And we did a few of those over the year as well. And then other opportunities for us to, again, to celebrate excellence within our school system as well. Whether it's ensuring that a underserviced group, our girls and young women, moving into professions and occupations, studies that are within STEAM. We've worked hard, it's Loyola again, to ensure that they are inspired, they are challenged, and they are honored to take those steps over the weeks and the months and the years to come. And I don't know how many awards we have won in terms of energy efficiency, But once again, we have spiked the ball as we've won one more time. 72 boards, and number one is here. Again, hats off to Superintendent Merrick and his team. But the accolades for that reflect, I think, an appreciation for saving money, but also in terms of us as Catholics, in light of Pope Francis's first encyclical Laudato Si, a sense of we are, again, stewards of creation. This board has done its bit to ensure that we are being good stewards of creation. And again, just echoing that in terms of, there are many of us who taught in rooms that were 150 degrees. So the classrooms that we have here in the air conditioning, although like any family, one might want a little cooler, a little warmer. The fact of the matter is we're well served within that. And then we work very hard to ensure that we're recruiting. It's more of a challenge now. We have to staff as tightly as possible to be thoughtful and prudent in terms of money. And so the work to attract people here and attract the right people for the right positions is complex, and it is ongoing. And again, you can see here that we've done a lot in terms of new hires, which was quite a bit. And of course, in terms of our good fiscal management, that comes at the end of this final priority of our MOSP. If I have gone on too long, I apologize. No, I don't apologize. This is a celebration. It reflects the work of, like I said, over 6,000 employees and the input of nearly 37,000 students and countless parishes and stakeholders and partners in the community, big and small, ongoing and brand new, that have worked with us. People who are outside of this board, we will not refuse anybody who puts out their hand of friendship to us to help us do what we do, and we'll continue to do that. So, Chair, I am concluding my report.
Thank you, Director Klein, for presenting your annual report. I shall now open up the floor to trustees. If you have questions, comments, suggestions, first up, Trustee Vice Chair Chinada, you have the floor.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, to Director Klein and to your staff, I have to say that as a trustee, our role is governance, but one of our roles is also praise. And I have never seen such a detailed report in my 7 years as a trustee. So this was one of the most comprehensive, enjoyable director's annual report I've ever seen and listened to, is Director Klein. So well done to you and your staff. Very well done.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Trustees, Trustee Murphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, to Director Klein and staff. What I loved about this report, to echo what Trustee O'Hearn Trinalda said, it's celebrating our successes. So many times we look at the aggregate and the macro and numbers, and we lose the fact that every day, multiple times a day, we're succeeding, and we need to celebrate that and talk about it more. So this report, I love the format. Unfortunately I missed your last few, but I'll catch up. Don't worry. But this was a great format, and it's great to see so many successes. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy. Trustee Powell.
Thank you, Chair. I echo actually both my fellow colleague trustees that, yeah, this was excellent. Well done. It was really neat to see that all the action being done in the schools and kind of how the trajectory of where we're going. Congratulations to Superintendent Merrick. That's amazing. I like to hear that. I just have a quick question. Were there any surprises that you thought, something you weren't expecting, or was there anything as you were putting this together that stood out from last year's? Any changes, big changes?
Director Klein?
That's a very good question. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, that's a very good question. I would have to say, and this one, it's so without doing a lot of heavy thinking about this would be the continued success of our various program, the myriad of programs that we have for people. I could say there's some students who stand out, hitting it up. Some of them you saw it hit it right out of the park, and that's always a pleasure. But I think one of the things that, in terms of strategizing and looking ahead, it's just the importance of the attraction of those different programs for our students and the menu of choice that they would have within it. Sorry, I'll add one more. I would think that there's a lot to be proud of in terms of the last 2 or 3 years. And people can argue that there's a long way to go, and they'd be right. But I think in the work we've done to try and respond to the call and the needs of that have been identified pretty clearly of our Black students and community. I think that's something that you wouldn't have seen 2 years ago as much, or 3 years ago. So that would be one. That's my final answer. There.
Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry to put you on the spot. It was something that just, if there was anything off the top of your head that came up that you were surprised, but no, very well done. Thank you. It was really encouraging to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other trustees? Seeing none. Director Klein, I really want to thank you for your presentation on this 1 year report based on our pillars. So everything is based on all our pillars: achieving, believing, belonging, and becoming. And it was done based on data that we collected in our based on our multi-strategic plan. So we are progressing really, really well. And I want to thank first our students, our parents, guardians, staff, and our administrators for all collaborating well in bringing success to this report and our boards. Thank you so much for your presentation. With that, we will move on to our next item is item number 5, delegations. There are no delegations. Next order of business is consent agenda. Can we have the agenda up, please? The following items have been agreed upon at the agenda approval to stay on the consent agenda. Item 6.1, action items, 6.1.1, 6.1.2, 6.1.3, 6.1.4, and 6.1.5. We also have noted items. And as you know, we will not discuss the noted items. The consent agenda, we will take a single vote on the action items, and there will be no discussion on those items. I will now read the motion. Resolved that the Halton Catholic District School Board approve consent agenda items 6.1.1, 6.1.2, 6.1.3, 6.1.4, and 6.1.5 as submitted at the January 20, 2025 regular board meeting. I'm looking for a mover. May I have a mover, please? Trustee Saunders moves, Trustee Murphy seconds. Okay. I shall not call the vote on the consent agenda. Vice Chair Mohan Chanada.
In favor.
Trustee Kelly.
In favor.
Trustee Saunders.
Favor.
Trustee Murphy.
In favor.
Trustee Berstrom.
Favor.
Trustee Hannah.
In favor.
Trustee Carabella.
In favor.
Trustee Powell.
In favor.
Trustee Kennedy.
In favor.
Trustee Agnew.
In favor.
Thank you. We have 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstention. Motion carries. We shall now move directly on to item number 9, action items. 9.1, selection of learning and library materials. This is an action item. It's driven by policy II-25, selection of learning and library materials. It is referred to the board by a committee, and hence we need only a mover. We need a second, sorry. It's moved by the committee. Second. May I ask for us, so hold on before I ask for that. So I will ask after I get seconded, we'll ask Superintendent Kroll to speak to that item, and then I will read the motion and place it on the table. So now I need a second. Trustee Murphy, seconds it. I will now pass it on to Superintendent Kroll. Please speak to this item, then I will read the motion and then place it on the table.
Good evening, and through you, Mr. Chair, present the report from the Careers Review Committee, which is structured to respond to a parent concern from the St. Kateri community. I'd like at this time to first take the opportunity to publicly thank the members of the committee, two of whom are in the room tonight, who gave up their time and offered their expertise and perspective in reviewing concerns and contributing to the report. The report is intended to be comprehensive, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions the trustees may have.
Thank you, Superintendent Kroll. So trustees, we are going to work on this question time and debate time. Sure, we are all very familiar. So with 3 minutes for questions, 3 minutes for debates. Trustees, I open up question time now. Raise your hand and you'll be placed in the queue. Trustee Carabella. Trustee Carabella.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair.
You have 3 minutes for questions, okay? So keep asking your questions.
Okay, so the 3 minutes is just my question part, not the response. Thank you. So I'll just get on it. Thank you. So the parent brought this forward simply and respectfully asked us to remove the book from the curriculum as it does not meet the policy I-25, which under principle states any materials that depict scenes of explicit and or gratuitous sexual content will not be permitted. This policy is the guiding document and not a procedure which should be clearly understood and followed by all. So my question is to, I sent Rosie a slide to one of the excerpts from the book, and it's also today in the correspondence from the parent. It's page 68. Can it be put on the board? Is that part of my time while we put it?
Okay, I'll love that. I've checked that. It's part of the agenda package already.
Right.
I really love that.
I won't read it, but it's one section that depicts a explicit sexual encounter between the characters in the book. So my question is, do you agree that the above passage has explicit sexual content?
Can we increase the size, please? Yeah, I can increase that.
Sorry.
Here's a question too.
Could be to the director or sorry.
I think Superintendent Kroll is presenting the report. Director Klein, is it okay if I pass it on to Superintendent Kroll, or you would like to take it? Okay.
I don't mind starting it. My understanding is the process is that process, which comes from a policy that was created by trustees, is one where we go through a series of problem solving, communication stages, and then at one stage we say, let's create this committee. This committee is made up of people, represent trustees, who represent parents, who represent, and they're, through the weeks and they deliberated. This is their report to a certain extent. This is the assessment that they have come to. So I guess that's why I'm trying to nuance the question and the answer on it. I think it's a report from them as per the policy. Which I'm not sure if Superintendent Kroll.
Thank you, Superintendent Kroll.
Sure, I'll just add that passage was addressed as part of the concerns. It was raised with the committee on page 4 in the report. It does discuss specifically the findings of the committee to say that they determined that they were not explicit or gratuitous, that they were central to the plot, depicted modesty, provided opportunities for teachers to have important conversations about agency, consent, which are important conversations for teenage staff. So that was not the findings of the committee, and I would agree with those findings.
Thank you, Trustee Carabello.
Okay, so the same parent raised the exact same concern last year at another school, and the book was pulled from the classroom without it coming to the board. Was this information shared to the committee? And also, why did we do things differently this time around?
Sure. If you read policy 2-25 carefully, it does talk about the process by which concerns are addressed. Concerns can be addressed at the school level. In the situation last year, the school chose to make a decision to remove from grade 9 to grade 9 options for reading. That was a decision made by the principal at that time.
So follow-up would be that this time what happened, the principal, it wasn't.
Felt that this book was appropriate and therefore did not agree to remove it, and therefore was referred to the Materials Review Committee.
Trustee Carroll.
Okay, and regarding the Material Review Committee, was there anyone on this committee that represented the view of the parent on the matter?
Mr. Chair. Yeah, we had 2 members of CPIC.
Well, I mean, not like a parent representative, but a parent or somebody with the same view that the parent had. Was his view represented? Thank you.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, his concerns were given to the committee to review, along with the concerns that were also raised by another member they were given exactly as they were written for the committee to review before we met.
Thank you, Trustee Carroll.
Okay, is the list of attendees, the people of the committee, is that list made public?
Superintendent Crowe.
It's not required by policy. I'm happy to share with trustees in an email following the meeting if you'd like.
I guess I'm wondering about the pastor of the local parish. Is this accurate?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we had the Vicar of Education, Monsignor Khan from St. Andrew's Parish, that was our representative.
So that's not a local parish, but.
It's a local parish community.
Halton.
Yeah. Okay. Is it given somewhere? In the policy, it says pastor.
Okay.
But is it local parish mentioned somewhere?
It says a pastor from a local parish.
Okay. But
how many more minutes do I?
You have 1 minute, 23 seconds.
Okay. This book is not on the Trillium list of recommended books, and there's a province in Canada, Nova Scotia, has removed this book from the classroom. Why would we use this book instead of looking for a book with the same themes but without profanity and sexual content?
Superintendent Crowe.
Certainly, through you. We have many books in our schools that are not. So the Trillium list is something that we use when we're purchasing textbooks. It's not used for it's not used to determine all of the books that are used in other classrooms like English or religion. We did discuss this. It is answered, I believe, explicitly that teachers on the committee know that the text is of high interest students, engages reluctant readers, focusing on the profanity, dismisses the beauty of the novel and the themes found within. The novel represents a real lived experience. We did address that specifically in the report.
Great, Mr. Governor.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. The committee acknowledges the profanity in the book. We could debate how gratuitous it is, but do we need profanity to educate our kids? Are we promoting this at HCDSB? Do we allow teachers to use such language in our classrooms?
I don't think I'm going to answer that question. I'm not going to dignify whether we allow teachers to use profanity in the classroom with a response.
Thank you. Sorry, Trustee Carroll.
Okay, so following up on the point you made about focusing on profanity in the text diminishes the beauty of the novel. Is this not the same as saying, don't worry about the wolf, just look at the lovely sheep's coat it's wearing?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I think the report speaks very clearly to the value of the book. I'm not sure if you read the book, Trustee Carabella.
I've read quite a lot of excerpts, thanks to it being sent.
Have you read the entire book?
Not the entire book.
Okay. The committee read the entire book and felt that the value of the book far outweighed any concerns of the parent had.
Thank you, Trustee Carabella.
Okay. Because there were, the parent mentioned that there were like profanity used like 300 times, and that is another reason another board has removed the book. Okay. Last question. The parent raised the concern and submitted the form on November 3rd. Yet it was confirmed by staff that the committee was yet to be struck by December 17th. That's a month and a half later. Our policy requires that a written notice of the decision be provided within a month. Our policy wasn't followed. Why did this occur? Thank you.
I'll pass this to Director Klein.
Thank you, Chair. Trustee Carabelli was in fact followed. Page 3 of the policy, if you read through the bullets, goes in sequence. Remember, we're talking about, there's opportunity to solve the problem if it goes to this level. So once you have the committee, so now you're at the committee phase, which wasn't struck until sometime before Christmas. And it says the committee for the review of materials is chaired by the superintendent, noted here. When all is said and done, the decision regarding the material will be made by the board, and a written notice of the decision will be sent within 1 month's time. That's the only thing I see in terms of a timeline of 1 month, which is where we're at now. So we would do the decision, you would do the decision tonight. The decision regarding the material will be made by the board. So the recommendation goes to the board. That's the bullet right before it. Once the decision is done, and within a month, the decision will be sent to the plaintiff. I'm not sure if there's another reading of that. That's the only thing I see about 30 days.
Thank you. Trustee Carabella, you have 4 seconds left.
Thank you. That's all. Thank you very much.
So up next is Trustee Saunders. You have 3 minutes. Your time starts now.
Thank you very much. I did read the book over the weekend. I wanted to understand what the issues were. And just in terms of some context, over the weekend, we were at the trustee meetings and we had a very interesting discussion with the following David Kalau from Abacus. And he talked about where education not only is going, but where it is now because of the advent of AI and ChatGPT. Education is now going to be, in-person presentations, discussions in class. So when I read the book, I was concerned. It seemed to have a lot of very sort of hurtful, angry words, a lot of profanity, a lot of adult situations that I wouldn't be comfortable with my own children reading their grade 9. It did explore some important themes and some lived experiences. So I guess my question to Trustee Kroll is, Trustee Superintendent Kroll, is how do you envision a teacher being able to teach this text and without sort of running afoul of many of our rules? Like in your report you mentioned that there are certain words that you mentioned, and I think right now we have a poster campaign in our schools that says never say it, never write it, never read it out loud. So I'm just wondering, how do you see our teachers being able to teach this text without getting running afoul of any of these issues?
I'll just start by saying
Thank you. I'll pass it to Director Klein.
Okay, thank you, Chair and Trustee Saunders. I think it comes up in the report. Maybe not everybody in this realize or remembers the fact that this is not a book. There's choice within this book, so there's an opportunity for students to not be reading it or to be reading it as well. So it's not a mandated book in terms of, I got my 25 kids here and we're all going to be reading this book over the next, 6 weeks. There was voice and choice within it. Superintendent Kroll.
Back to the question.
Sure. Yeah, I can share that there were 3 teachers on the committee that have taught the book. What they shared was that this is a high interest book for students, that they do read cover to cover. They do find that it speaks to issues and in language that they understand, that they can relate to. They felt that the engagement with the themes is powerful. I can tell you I had significant pushback last year against the fact that it was Xavier from teachers that were very disappointed with that decision because they find students do enjoy this book so much and they're able to get so much out of the discussions and the teaching that they have in the class.
So if I can return to my question, how does a teacher teach this if they can't read it, if they can't discuss it, if you can't write it? So just enlighten me. How would a teacher go about teaching this and discussing it with the class without running afoul of our policy?
You're talking about the N word? Is that what we're saying here?
Well, that in other words, I imagine the F word and the C word are not words that we would be throwing around the classroom either.
Yeah, I think very simply, you would not read those words aloud. We'll stop.
So If I could, would it be an option to eliminate those words from the book? If we can't say them out loud and we can't discuss them in class, would there be some validity in saying, we'll have someone go through and remove these words from the book?
Superintendent Grohl?
I don't think that that's something that's reasonable. I think moreover, it does allow for conversations about the use of profanity within the classroom. I think it gives teachers things to talk about with students about where profanity is inappropriate. I don't know how you could redact a book in such a way and present it to students and it has still the same power.
Trustee Sanders?
Sure. So my next question is, so this morning we received an email from the parish priest, and it was quite, I'd say a sort of a damning email. So where he goes through a lot of the issues of the adult situations and the profanity. And he says here, all responsible for allowing this book to be used are guilty of a grave sin of scandal. And now that you are certainly aware of the serious nature of this scandalous content, I dare say that this grave sin is most likely a mortal sin. So, being a person of faith, that concerns me when that comes up in a letter from a priest. And I'm just wondering, how do you view this, and what is your response to this going to be? Sure.
Trustee Sanders, I would really like to focus on the report. So,
well, I mean, but this speaks to the report. So I think it's something that I'm interested to find out.
No, let's not get into a personal.
It's not a personal. It's
a report we're talking about. I really would like to bring it up.
It's personal. Sorry. No, but as a Catholic school board, this should be something important that we
Trustee Sanders. Trustee Sanders, I'd like to focus on the content of the report. So if you have any questions on the content of the report.
All right, well, let me then, I do have a few more questions. So I have 5 minutes.
You have 16 seconds left.
Okay, so in your report, you mentioned that you'd discussed the curriculum and the policy with the committee. I'm just wondering, could you give us an idea of how you, I know the curriculum is this thick. How did you discuss it with them, and how did you ensure that they understood our policies and our curriculum?
Thank you. So
through you, Mr. Chair, we certainly shared the policy with the committee members ahead of time. Thankfully, we had classroom teachers that were able to talk about the curriculum, as well as curriculum consultants that were able to help unpack that for our community members that weren't educators.
Okay, thank you. Your time is up. We move on to our next speaker, Trustee Murphy. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Superintendent Kroll. I was on, as you know, I was on the committee. You contributed greatly. I'm sure that was your next statement. But could you run through, which it was enlightening to me to understand how books get chosen, the autonomy or the availability of the classroom teacher to choose books. I think that's an important point for everybody to understand. And then maybe you could finish off with if a parent, is a parent informed or made aware of what the reading materials are? And if they're opposed to it, what's the process?
Yeah, sure. Through you, Mr. Chair, I will, not having some of the members of the committee, I will do my best to answer that question as fulsome as because that was a team effort. But what we shared with the committee was that certainly recommendations are made by colleagues. We do have a summer reading club, so we do have teachers that do get together. They'll take suggestions of books, they'll read them, and then determine whether they think they're appropriate or inappropriate for our high schools. English department heads do have autonomy to purchase books that they sort of feel are appropriate and in line with the curriculum. And then classroom teachers have the choice to be able to go into the book rooms and say, you know what, this semester, I think this book might speak to my grade 9s, that it might not speak to them in second semester. So they have choice to be able to say which books they'll be teaching from semester to semester. When we have books that do have, we'd say, potentially challenging themes or trigger warnings or language, we'll make sure that parents and students are aware of that ahead of time. So communication does go home. Communication is shared with families and students. In situations like this was one of several options that was presented to the class. What teachers had done in this case was provided as a part of a book tasting. Hey, here's some books. Take a look. What do you think? What speaks to you? It's part of a sort of strategy to recognize that more and more realize that students are at different reading levels and different interest levels. So we want to provide as much choice as possible and give them as much voice to be able to say, this book speaks to me and that one doesn't. If a parent has a concern to say, and this was done in this case here at the school, I don't think this book's appropriate for my child, then the school will certainly work with that parent to find a suitable replacement. And that was done in this case. So it wasn't that this child was forced to read this book. The child was given another book to read, was able to complete their assignment, didn't suffer any academic penalty. The parent in this case, however, felt that that wasn't sufficient. That answer your question, Trustee?
Yes, it did. Thank you. And also then, I think it was Library Services that puts together a synopsis for teachers. And maybe that's something, I know maybe you don't have with you, but that's something you could share. So through that, it talks about highlights and the themes and curriculum connection, but it also has all the trigger warnings. So it clearly indicates with this book some of the potential issues depending on your your interpretation or level of sensitivity. So is this shared with the teachers so they can make their informed choices from them? Okay. It's a great document, actually. To have this for every book is fantastic.
But if I can just add, the report does also talk about the pre-teaching and post-teaching that would need to be done with texts like this. We would never give a text like this to students just cold and say, figure it out. There's a lot of work that we want to do ahead of time with students to make sure they're prepared to read it, and then work during them reading it, and then after reading it to make sure that they understand what they're reading and have the ability to sort of question and evaluate and judge the text and make connections.
Thank you, Trustee Murphy.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Trustee Agnew. Trustee Agnew, the floor.
Thank you, through Mr. Chair. So Trustee Murphy, one of the questions I was going to ask was going to be just to clarify the materials or the processes that accompany when a book like this has been introduced. So thank you for that. I think that's a really important tool and definitely sets the stage to know that these are not just being given out willy-nilly with no context or no follow-up or no directions on how some of these sensitive materials can be taught to students and help them understand. There's been a lot of talk tonight with respect to clergy and, we rely heavily on the input that we have from our local parishes or from our clergy, from ICE, from our diocese. So I just wanted to, because I wasn't sure that I had heard, but when I read the report, there was a clergy on this committee, correct? And so they would have read the book, they would have asked the same questions, they would have had the same, so they would have had equal input into this decision-making, just like every other member of this committee. Is that correct?
Correct.
That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other trustees? Trustee Kennedy, for the floor. 15 minutes starts now.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to mention about a local parish pastor being Father Khan. My understanding is Father Khan is actually in Hamilton now and no longer at St. Andrew. Can you clarify?
Director, Superintendent Kroll?
Yeah, I think that our intention was that we wanted the Vicar of Education, so the direct relationship between the diocese and the school boards. We couldn't think of a better choice.
Thank you.
But you said local pastor, but you didn't choose a local pastor.
Fair enough. You know what? My apologies if I misrepresented that. I thought he was still at St. Andrews, so that's on me. I apologize.
Just wondering, who chose the members of the committee through you, Mr. Chair?
This is a working committee, and the director of education in conjunction with his senior staff in consultation with them. I believe that's the process. Correct me if I'm wrong, Director Klein.
Absolutely, yeah, including the choice of the pastor, which is someone who's the Vicar of Education for the entire Diocese of Hamilton. He's got a reputation that's stellar in terms of how Catholic schools would operate within the framework of catechism is unparalleled in terms of that choice. We're very lucky.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, the director chose the committee.
The director, along with the superintendent.
At the end of the day, it's we have one employee who's director chief.
Just cover, is our director in favor of this book being used at HCDSB schools?
Give me some time to turn things on it. Director Klein?
Well, I'm certainly in favor of what the committee has done. I think it did very good work working through these. I read the book myself, and I think in the context of having the best Catholic teachers in the province, if not the world, who have the supports of even something as straightforward as that document that you have, but they have much more than that. I am absolutely confident, and with choice that students have within that, absolutely confident that this book that is very popular, this book is very well received and represents and reflects a community that not all of our students are necessarily connected to. I'm confident in the work they did, and I'm confident in this book.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
Thanks for responding. Just for the answer though, are you in favor of this book being used in HCDSB schools?
I thought I answered that.
No, you answered you support the committee, but you personally, are you in favor of the book in HCDSB schools? As the director,
have the option of.
I support the committee.
So just to our chair, just wondering, is this policy? I know it's a policy, but do you see in the future when we might have 5, 10 more requests? We don't know. Do you see this being on the line of potentially being procedure for our chair here? So we're now getting into the direct material that students are learning.
I think a good question. I gave it a thought, and I was just thinking in my head why I agree at this point. Really, we have the director of education, who's our employee, who makes decisions with his senior staff, and I think it should have been a procedural matter where it goes on to a committee who decides. And I had the opportunity at Oxford to meet with other chairs, and they just have a committee. When such an issue arises, goes to a committee, committee makes a decision, and off it goes. So I strongly believe it's an operational matter. It really should have been with staff to make this kind of call, because we do not have direct operational abilities in our schools or in the libraries for that matter. So if you ask me a question, yes, it should have been an operational matter to set with our senior staff. But again, policy is to be changed. Okay, Trustee Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just before we get to the trustees or comes to the board, just my understanding is it the librarian first, principal, superintendent, and the director that has the ability before it comes to the board if they chose to remove the book?
Superintendent.
Yeah. You're testing my intimate knowledge of the policy. Off the top of my head, I believe it resides with the principal to resolve at the school level. If it can't be resolved at the school level, then it's referred to the materials review committee. But I don't know if Superintendent Kaich might want to correct me as our policy wonk guru.
Go ahead, Superintendent.
For you, Mr. Chair, and as a follow-up to Superintendent Kroll's point, Trustee Kennedy, if you notice in the procedure, there is a process under the selection of library materials. And it does refer to the principals, vice principals, department heads, teachers, librarians, and library technicians and students who will be responsible for recommending library materials based on the evaluation criteria set by the Ministry of Education in its guidelines, approval of textbooks, and in consideration of our equity and inclusion policy, which is item 45. You'll notice that there's consideration of learning materials section, and you are aware of also how it unfolds if there is a concern about which you've been discussing. There's also under requirements a selection of learning materials and the selection of library materials. So it's very fulsome. It really does. And it is procedural nature to a certain degree when it comes to the committee. So I think we've covered a lot in the policy combination of high-level requirements along with the procedural component of the policy. The committee membership.
Thank you, Superintendent Kaich. Trustee Kennedy.
Just to clarify, the principal chose not to remove it. Can a superintendent override the principal and choose to remove it?
That's always the in any organization that's a possibility. But I think we work like a good team, should be working. And correct me, Director Klein. I don't know how we work personally, but I think it's teamwork here.
Very, I'll defer to the superintendent.
So if the request, through you, Mr. Chair, if I can just read from the policy, if the request to reconsider cannot be successfully resolved at the school level, the concerned party will be advised by the principal of the right to have the unresolved matter deliberated by the committee for the review of materials. If the concerned party wishes to pursue the matter, the principal informs the appropriate school staff, the superintendent of curriculum services, and the school superintendent. The concerned party will forward the request form to the chair of the committee for the review materials. And then it talks about who's on the committee and then sort of how the committee is to respond.
Okay, that clarifies. And just lastly, just to recall, what age is this book available to? Was it grade 9, 14, 15-year-olds?
Superintendent Kroll?
Yes, in this case, yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Trustee Kennedy.
The last thing, maybe Rosie, you just said something. Just put up on the screen. Trustee,
So
Chair,
that's what's on our school board website.
yeah, there's something on our school board website. I just wanted to clarify
So
because
that's part of the preliminary.
I'm not versed in this area, and we have our superintendent of human rights and equity. Sorry, can't see that far away.
So let's give it a second. It's our board website.
I just want to understand so I went to the website just to see our policies to prepare for the meeting, and I found this chart, which we can scroll down to, and it basically mentions that there's a campaign against this word, and it's further down, never to be said, written, or read out loud. And I know that you did reference it a little bit about authors and musicians, and you looked at that, but how do we reconcile this? You know, if we say never, 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 but then provide material to students. Is that like, how do you put those together? Just curious, because this is what I found that's our policy. I think I saw it in some schools too, on the walls.
I'll pass this to Superintendent Kroll.
Did you want to go ahead?
Okay, go ahead.
So you, Mr. Chair, thank you for the question. So when we created this campaign, it was to really address a specific problem within the system, which is also sort of common to other boards and institutions, is that the pervasive use of the N-word as a slur that was used by students towards other students, and that was creating an environment that was harmful for Black students. Right, so that was the context in which it was created. It was created with community partners, parents, and the idea was to sort of help. And it also has a video that goes with it. That's part on our website. The idea was to really help students understand the impact of saying the word aloud. It does not, and so the never write, never read it refers to how you use the word. Because whether it's written somewhere, like whether a student writes it on a piece of a paper or whether they say it out loud, that is not appropriate. But even before the creation of this campaign, a few years ago, particularly to deal with how do we understand the use of this language and the context by Black authors, we actually had Lawrence Hill. He is a really renowned Canadian author who lives in Hamilton, who came to our school system and did a board-wide training on the complexity of this word, that this is a word that has history, that has evolved, and it's not a word that belongs to everybody. So it's not that, well, if you can say it, why can't I say it? That there is complexity to that. And that some people, not all, some people within the Black community have reclaimed this word and are using it in a way to sort of highlight the negative impact of the word. And so he specifically spoke about authors who use this word not in a way to just glorify or to use it as a slur, but to sort of highlight the negative impact of the word. So that learning was done several years ago in this board through a Black author who came and talked about those pieces. So the contexts are different in when you have a Black author using this word in a way to highlight the context and highlight the harm. That's a different context than if we have students using it with each other. And even in that context, we say, do not read the word out aloud, do not write it, do not use it against another student. But it's a complex word with a very complex history. So it's not a straightforward answer of, nobody can use it or how this is done. And that's the education piece that goes along with the campaign in our schools.
Trustee Kennedy?
Yeah, just so that was several years. So now that it's several years later, will you continue to educate students, and you're not concerned about any confusion with students between seeing a never policy and then being a material that the school board provides?
Yes, because I think we, as a system, and our administrators have done tremendous work through the procedure VI 102, which is to address all hate or bias motivated incidents. So when that word is used in the context of a hate or bias motivated incident, that is where we say never use it, never apply it, because students don't understand the context, and that's a completely different context than when it is used by an author to highlight the harm and to speak to those lived experiences. So the contexts are very different, and we haven't seen that it has created any confusion. So as far as I'm aware, between the two contexts.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy.
Just through Mr. Chair, do we have any books currently like across our board that are banned, like that are just not at all? Like there's actually a list of them. Does that exist?
I don't know, but let me talk to the intro.
Through you, Mr. Chair, not off the top of my head. I mean, there's certainly books that we will delist from our libraries. And if you recall, we did have a presentation from our manager of library service a couple of years ago that talked about why we might delist books. She used an acronym called MUST-be. And I can't remember what MUST-be means, but basically just if books are out of date, if they're no longer relevant, no longer appropriate, they will be removed. But this is a different process than that. That's trained librarians doing work to make sure that our libraries are appropriate.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy.
Good, thanks. No, thank you, Ben.
Thank you. Up next is Vice Chair Open Janata.
Thank you, through you, Chair. That was a really long 3 minutes. So I just wanted to kind of bring us back centered. I just want to ask through Director Klein, through you, Chair, or Superintendent Kroll, did we waiver at all as per our policy or procedure to getting to this recommendation from the committee that was formed?
Superintendent.
Well, I'll say, in my opinion, did we waiver at all? I don't think we wavered at all. Trust.
Superintendent Kroll.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm really proud of the work that the committee did in carefully reviewing policy 2-25, taking the time to read a 400+ page novel, taking the time to read the parent concerns, giving up their time to meet, deliberate, and discuss. At no point did anyone provide strong objections or feelings that this was in violation of policy 2-25, but certainly did give careful consideration to the concerns the parent raised to make sure that they were fulfilling the mandate of the committee.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, just to follow up, just because I'm taking at it from a lens of governance, and we just have to make sure that policy that are created by us, for us and the board are followed, and as are the operational procedures that have been mentioned. I just wanted to make sure, and it sounds like we followed that to the T. Whether we like the recommendations of the committee or not, at this point, it looks like our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. So I just wanted to clarify that there was no wavering of those policies or procedures at all.
Sorry, through you, Madam. Sorry, maybe I missed. I think I answered a different question to you, Trustee Janata. I believe that I like being the person in charge of the committee, being the person who's sort of ultimately responsible for that specific policy. I tried as hard as I could to adhere to the policy in both spirit and letter. Certainly the fact that this committee had met in almost 20 years, it's certainly interesting to take something that's existed on paper for a very long time and then try to implement it into practice. But if I can do a bit of a postmortem on it, I'm confident that we met the requirements of the policy.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
No, thank you. My question was answered. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other trustees have questions? This is question time. 3 minutes of question time. If not, I just have a question, one question, Superintendent Kroll. So I read the report a couple of times, trying to grasp and understand. So when it came to the last page, I'm looking at the whole page dedicated to what will happen if we do not do this thing. So my only question to you is, was that an ask from the parent, or was it a mandate from?
So on the last page of the report,
which says that, oh, if you do not do this, it's kind of warning kind of a thing.
To be honest, I tried as, through you, Mr. Chair, I tried as much as possible to represent the views of the committee throughout the report. So although I'm the author of the report, the committee has provided the voice of the report. The sentiment that's expressed there was certainly that of several members of the committee.
Thank you, Superintendent Kroll. With that, I shall close question time and I shall now open up debate time. Trustee, oh, sorry, Trustee Hannah, was your hand up for questions?
No, this is for debate. Thank you.
Debate, okay. So I shall now open up debate time. 3 minutes debate time. Give me a second to get organized. Yes, debate time is open. Trustees, please raise your hand. Trustee Hannah, you have your hand up. 3 minutes.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. So my apologies, my throat is not in the best shape right now, but I'd like to discuss some of the points trustees have made. So in regards to Trustee Carabella's concerns, Romeo and Juliet has multiple innuendos. There's one scene where the nurse is called a word that I cannot say in any professional capacity, and I can assure you it is a much more severe use of profanity than The Hate You Give has. Removing Romeo and Juliet, removing that book/play, I think we can all agree would be a vast overstep of the board. Motorcycles and Sweetgrass, another book that's taught in our curriculum, would have to be removed. And most importantly, there's a certain very exceptional book, a holy book, with depictions of sexual assault and profanity and murder. Judges 19 to 21 is one of the most harrowing passages in the Bible. It is far worse than anything The Hate You Give has to offer. But it's the Bible. I hope nobody in their right mind wants to remove the Bible from this board. So coming from someone who has read the book, and I am biased against it since I didn't really enjoy it, while there are definitely problems with it, the amount of profanity or sexual content is comparable to other books that we already read in our current education system. And then in regards to Trustee Saunders' points, I can assure you, as someone who has taught this text, teachers can fully teach it without touching on the profanity or inappropriate aspects. It's not like teachers stand around and read the book to the students. Students read it on their own time, and the profanity and sexual content is not ignored per se, but it's not really heavily discussed because that's not the point of the book. And in regards to whether the Catholic faith is supportive of this book being taught in high schools, I did some research. I found conflicting accounts. So you have people like John Molderig, who writes for Catholic News Service as its assistant director, who publicly supports it. I found a couple Catholic priests who speak out in favor of it, and there are an equal amount of Catholic priests who are against it. And same thing in regards to broader Christian priests. There are some in favor and there are some against it. There doesn't seem to be a unanimous consensus from the Catholic Church, and I'd even argue that most are in favor of this book being taught. And I think what everyone here discussing is kind of forgetting is that you haven't read the book. The vast majority of people here haven't read the book. So as someone who has read this book and thought it was mediocre and did not enjoy it, but by no means should it be banned. I'd also like to add most students seem to enjoy it. So removing a book that students and teachers are unanimously in favor of when people here haven't even read it is just foolish in my opinion. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Hannah. Up next is Trustee Parsuram.
Thank you.
And I will just caution trustees against using strong words against other trustees. You cannot assume any trustee's intentions. So, Trustee Hannah, we cannot do that. Okay. So, we are all here in a very respectful environment, and I expect everybody to hold it to the highest standards. Trustee Parasuram.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. While I understand and respect concerns brought upon the profanities and mature themes that are discussed in this book, I agree these without some sort of context or purpose can be incredibly dangerous. From a student perspective, I find the discussion of these themes absolutely necessary. Literature that reflects the student's perspective is necessary, and this novel is one that does just that. Speaking from raw student experience, students already have a great deal of exposure to the themes discussed in this book, such as profanity, such as sexuality, whether it be healthy or unhealthy, and they will continue to encounter these themes as they progress through society. And forgive me for my flowery language here, but we as students are not delicate snowflakes incapable of critical thought or incapable of differentiating between right and wrong. By allowing for and promoting the discussion of themes in this book, we can adequately prepare students for the world and the society they're about to enter. We're not going out into a world that will pamper us and censor these themes, and we must be taught how to discuss and engage critically with them from now. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Parasuram. Up next. Up next is Trustee Murphy. You have the floor.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. I understand why some people could be upset with the content and subject matters. Hey, we're a very diverse community, and we have a wide range of understanding and tolerances. So I get it. I understand why. But really, you have to look further and say, okay, if we look to our policy, the depictions of the scenes have to be explicit or gratuitous. I think any reasonable person who's read the book would understand that none of the scenes are explicit or gratuitous. If they're talking about a sexual situation, it's very muted. More importantly, there's a lesson to be learned after those. It's not gratuitous in that it was done for pleasure. The two scenes in the book where there are some sexual scenes, both people have agency to control the situation, and both chose to be abstinent at that point for different reasons. One involving the negative impacts of teen pregnancy, and another was relating to consent and perceptions of taking advantage. That's a lesson. So we're in the real world. We have to operate in the real world. I understand as a parent, if that's not something you're comfortable with your family, well, then you have that right for them not to read the book. There is lessons to be learned. So I, like many people, when was first approached, I read the parents' letter and I said, okay, out of context, yeah, okay, what's the point? Do we really need that? Then I read the book and then understood that, you know, the way that the book is written is through the author's eyes, and you now understand and you put yourself in their shoes, and it really brings home the lessons that the environment that they're working in under, you learn a lot. So there's value there. I think it's important for Black students, but I think it's also very important for all students to understand and see the world through their author's eyes. So it doesn't breach our policy. It's not explicit or gratuitous. It would be, it's not, a reasonable person just would not go there. No disrespect to the people who think it is, but that's the lens that we have to look on. It's not what I want my child reading this book. That's irrelevant. I was elected to make decisions based on the community and what would a reasonable person assume when they're reading this book. And it's very clear it doesn't breach the threshold of our policy.
Trustee Murphy, sorry to interrupt you. Spring.
Do you have a different clock than me? It's my clock. I've got a minute and a half left.
Okay, you can finish up.
That's fine. I think I got my point across that the bottom line is it doesn't breach the threshold, whether you like it or not.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Murphy. Up next is Trustee Agnew. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm not as eloquent as Trustee Murphy is. I'm just going to read the notes that I prepared for this evening. But as someone who took the time to actually read this book for the purpose of being informed this evening, I wanted to be sure that the excerpts that were referenced were not taken verbatim out of context. I would like to say that this novel, while sometimes controversial, as has been outlined, aligns deeply with the values of empathy, justice, and inclusion, things that our Catholic education seeks to instill. First, the He You Give fosters empathy and understanding. Through Star Carter's perspective, students are invited to see the world through the eyes of the marginalized, aligning with the Catholic principle of solidarity and Pope Francis's call to listen to the voices of the oppressed. It's a powerful tool for helping students understand systemic racism and the dignity of every human being. Secondly, the novel promotes justice and moral reflection. It challenges readers to think critically about fairness, accountability, and their role in creating a more just society, values that are rooted in Catholic social teaching, and the example of Jesus, who stood with the poor and oppressed. These are not just secular concerns, they are gospel values. Some may argue the book contains adult themes, but it's written through the lens of a 16-year-old protagonist, making it relatable and age-appropriate for high school students. Shielding students from these realities does not prepare them for the world they will face. Instead, Catholic schools can provide a safe, faith-based space to discuss these issues thoughtfully and responsibly. It's also important to consider what message we send to our Black students if we dismiss their lived experiences. Removing this book risks alienating students who see their struggles reflected in the character story. Including it shows that their voices matter and affirms the Catholic mission of inclusion and solidarity. And finally, it's 2026. Removing books such as this one sends the wrong message about engaging with diverse perspectives. Instead of avoiding difficult conversations, we should trust our teachers and curriculum committees, trained professionals who carefully evaluate books to ensure that they align with Catholic values and contribute to students' intellectual, moral, and spiritual growth. The Hate You Give is more than a book. It's a tool for fostering empathy, promoting justice, and inspiring hope. And by continuing to include it in our Catholic high schools, we empower students to live out their faith in meaningful ways and affirm the dignity of every student. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Agnew. Any other trustees would like to debate? Trustee Kennedy?
Sorry.
Trustee Carroll, you have your hand up.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm going to support the parent and his request for removal of this book. I'm glad he's brought the contents of this book to light. There must be better choices for our students that address and emphasize the same themes, however, without the profanity and sexual content, especially grade 9. The Nova Scotia board, it was being used in grade 12 before it was removed. I appreciate the parent submitting his explanation and intents with a letter to our board in the correspondence today's agenda. I hope everyone has read it and can really fully understand his intents. I believe we need to support parental input that guides us to a higher standard of Catholic values being taught in our schools. This is essential to affirm the home, school, parish triad, especially when there must exist better choices, and seeing that other boards have also taken the initiative to remove this book. Our kids are surrounded by a society rife with profanity and immoral sexual behavior that is unfortunately taken casually or worse, promoted in movies, songs, books, and social media. Parents want to send their kids to school, to a safe place, and learn with materials that reflect Catholic values and teaching. I will not be supporting the recommendations of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Carroll. Any other trustees want to debate? Trustee Kennedy, you have the floor.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks for the presentation. Just heard some things regarding Romeo and Juliet and other books to compare to. My understanding is a lot of Shakespeare is not actually in our schools these days like there used to be. Grade 9, Nun, grade 10, Macbeth, grade 11, Indigenous English, and grade 12, maybe Shakespeare again, but not Romeo and Juliet. My concern is just a little bit of, just didn't get a lot of information from the committee. Didn't see any evidence the committee is objective. There was talk of a local parish priest that wasn't local. Names of members of the committee were available. And the members were chosen by the director who supports the bill. So alternatively, parents who don't agree may be more engaged with their child to see the books that the HCDSB does provide for learning, and be more engaged with the board going forward. And then maybe just at the trustees, it's very possible we could have 5, 10, many more requests going forward. So maybe it's something we should consider, the policy that appears to be more procedural according to our chair, such that, the same parent may find 3 or 4 more books that they're not happy with, and we'll be going through this again. And maybe it's better if we have our director consider these decisions, the superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kennedy. Any other trustees would like to debate? If not, I'll call the vote on item 9.1. Trustee Kelly, how do you vote?
In favor.
Trustee Saunders?
Abstain.
Sorry?
Abstain.
Trustee Murphy?
In favor.
Trustee Parasram?
In favor.
Trustee Hannah?
In favor.
Trustee Carabella?
I'm opposed.
Trustee Powell?
I'm in favor.
Trustee Kennedy?
Abstain.
Trustee Agnew?
In favor.
Vice Chair Ohonchanara?
I'm in favor.
And I am opposed. So we have 5 in favor, 2 opposed, 2 abstention. Motion carries. Shall now move on to our next order of business, which is to staff reports, item number 10. 10.1, school year calendar. Superintendent Dinolfo, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. The staff report being presented this evening is the proposed 2026-2027 school year calendar developed in accordance with the Education Act, Administrative Regulation 304. As trustees are aware, boards are required to submit a ministry approved calendar by March 1st, 2026. Strategic alignment to the calendar under our strategic plan, achieving by ensuring adequate instructional time that meets the needs of all learners, believing by respecting our Catholic community rhythms and celebrations, belonging by aligning with family, staff, and transportation partners to support safe, welcoming school environments, and optimizing organizational effectiveness through careful system-wide coordination. The proposed calendar was developed by the School Year Calendar Committee, which represents a broad range of stakeholders, including a parent from CPEC, elementary and secondary teacher unions, UP representatives, the elementary principals and secondary principals association, trustee, thank you, Trustee, for being on our committee, Halton Student Transportation Services, and human resource staff. The committee met on November 12th and December 9th, 2025, and followed all ministry requirements and considerations. In developing the calendar, the committee considers several factors. Feedback from families indicating a preference for PA days on Mondays and Fridays where possible. The critical need for alignment with the Halton District School Board, given our shared transportation services, and the ministry direction to formally recognize Ontario Day on June 1st, 2027, which remains an instructional day. Trustees will note the other following highlights. The calendar includes 187 instruction days in full compliance with Regulation 304, including 10 examination days at the secondary level. There are 7 PA days in total, and for most of them, we're fully aligned with Halton District. To note for this year, with September 1st being on the Tuesday of the week before Labor Day, it was important that we had 2 PA days before the start of the school year ahead of the Labor Day weekend. So you'll notice in the calendar or the appendix that we have PA days on September 2nd and September 3rd, the week before Labor Day long weekend, with students starting on Tuesday, September 8th. So traditionally here in Halton Catholic and Halton District, we've always had a PA day on the Tuesday after Labor Day, where this year there's 2 PA days before the Labor Day weekend, and then the students will start on September 8th or September 2026. So there are 3 still mandatory provincial priority days. So 2 of those days will be September 2nd and 3rd. And then we will have an April PA day, which will cover the 3rd provincial priority day. There are 2 elementary PA days for reporting and doing assessments. So for example, the one that's coming up this week. So we have 1 in January, we have 1 in June. Okay. We have 1 elementary PA day for parent-teacher interviews. PA days are scheduled to reflect elementary and specific needs where appropriate. The secondary exam schedule is synchronized with the Halton District School Board's exam schedule. So Appendix A has all the dates. So for students, school starts on Tuesday, September 8th. For elementary, it goes right to September 30th. For secondary, it goes to June 30th. For secondary, it goes to June 29th, and June 30th is their 80th, the last day. The calendar is being presented for information this evening. Staff will return to the board meeting on February 17th, and with a recommendation for formal approval prior to submission to the ministry. The recommendation is presented to the board.
Thank you, Superintendent Dinolfo, presenting the report. Trustees, any questions for Superintendent Dinolfo? None. I just want to acknowledge Trustee Murphy for being on the committee. Thank you for the work you've done. Thank you, Superintendent Dinolfo, for presenting the report.
My pleasure. Any chance I get to work with Superintendent Dinolfo, I'll gladly take.
We shall now move on to our next order of business, which is information items. Item number 11, 11.1, Director's Update. Director Klein, please present your report.
Thank you, Chair. Just again, to go fairly quickly through this. You know, we have such great partnerships at this board with other organizations and other particularly educational partners. Sheridan College is a highlight, and in terms of the dual credit program, which is an awesome opportunity for students to move forward at a little greater speed and to test drive learning in a different setting that they will be in very shortly. Just want to highlight the fact that we have a ton of opportunities for our students in high school to engage in dual credit program. And there are, as we speak, nearly 50 opportunities to engage in those courses. And some of them run the gamut of advertising, plumbing, forensics, which sounds like a lot of fun, robotics, welding and cutting, et cetera, even child and youth development. Hopefully that could lead to somebody coming back to work for us. And I wanted to highlight that. The partnership, and again, just another example of some of the little pathways that we have forged, again, with our partners. We are continually, as we saw in our review of the multi-year strategic plan of last year, working to ensure that the skills and competencies and confidence, the effectiveness of our staff is honed. And we had a couple of weeks ago the opportunity for our DECEs to engage in professional learning funded by the Ministry of Education. And the training was done in collaboration with partnership, curriculum services, human rights and equity, special education, and student mental health services. And it allowed them to, through case studies, sort of looking at a sense of the reality of one of our youngest learners, to look at practical strategies for how to support students with diverse learning needs and backgrounds. So the ones that, again, present greatest challenges and therefore deserve the most energetic call and response. Jubilee Pilgrims of Hope update, well, we've wound down with the Feast of Epiphany. That is a year that's over. It saw the kind of poetic Mass at St. Andrew's Parish started a year ago, ended a year later. And the cross itself is at Thomas Merton. If you visit there, you'll be able to see it. And again, it's another opportunity to commemorate a year that obviously won't be repeated for another lifetime of our students. Black History Month is, we're on the advent of that. And as I said, again, so I won't belabor it, the work that we've done in our over the last couple of years to ensure that we're responding to the very clear needs of our community, which is for the betterment and the response to that community, but also betters us all, again, is something to be celebrated and marked through this. And again, it's looking at Black achievement, not only in the past, but in the present and the future. To that point, Chair Duarte is someone who sits on the Anti-Black Racism Steering Committee. And I was going to add to this, but because of the snow last week, we didn't have the meeting. Just the fact that this committee continues to move forward. It moves forward with honesty, with candor, with a lot of courage, and a lot of humility to try and, again, forge a strong path forward. One of the things we are looking at is the concept of some form of Center for Black Excellence to, again, to engage and to challenge and to support our student learners, but also our staff, so they can become more effective and more competent and confident in the work too, and to connect with our community partners as well. SHSM, SHISM, our Specialist High Skills Major, is something I want to highlight as well, just to show that the number of students that are moving into that program, at least they've claimed that right now, and obviously those numbers could change, likely go up, is going up by about 200 students right now. It'll go up even more than that for next year. But the programs that we have in our schools, which number 53, are going up to 57 for next year as well. And given a list there of some of the schools, high schools that are adding some of them, some of the different programs to their menu of choices and selections for our students as well. Georgetown West, I'd like to say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Maybe not in this one. A picture maybe is worth more like 200 words because it still looks a little desolate. But we have moved with purpose toward the construction of that school. The timing for that is still as it was noted earlier. It's good to note the contracts now have been officially awarded, and the project has moved into the next stage where we can actually do more of the actual building. We're grateful to the work and the cooperation of powers that be in Georgetown. And this again it's a new community for them. It's very new as well. So the story of the school that we have in Georgetown is it's going to be a little more. It's going to be unique as well. So again, we're very honored for that, and we hope that the spring gives us some good weather where we can move forward with Augusta. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Klein. Trustees, any questions, comments for Director Klein? Trustee Kennedy?
Just regarding achieving, I just have a question about how we're looking at class sizes this year for specifically elementary. Do we have any class sizes over the limit?
Superintendent Rodolfo? Sorry, Director Klein.
Do we have any class sizes over the limit as we speak?
For you, Chair. So the question is class sizes. Which class size are you talking about?
Elementary.
Elementary.
At what class size?
Elementary.
Okay, but we have class sizes for kindergarten, we have class sizes for primary, we have class sizes for junior intermediate. What's your question?
So, okay, I'll say my understanding is we've got a class with over 23 students in a 2-3 and a 3-4 split at St. Mary's. Is that, and we have 24 kids versus 23 students. Is that the case?
So what we, compliance that we do, so compliance is for 23. So the ministry compliance report has to be at 23. And here this year, with new registration that came at 2 schools at Christmas, the schools have decided to pierce that 23, which they can. And so they decided they can. And so those schools have made those decisions as when they're looking at their classes and how their schools are organized, they could have reorganized. So in September, we always have some schools that reorganize to get us to compliance. So the schools could have reorganized their whole primary division instead of piercing one class to 24. But it can be pierced. It's not something that we can't do. Okay. And so those schools, based on needs of all the students in that primary, the primary classes, decided to move one student into that 3-4. Okay. So this is new for us, but it's something we can do because we have growth in St. Cecilia, St. Gregory, St. Josephine, and St. Veronica. They're those schools where we're taking more students because new families are moving into those centers.
Thank you, Superintendent Rodolfo. Trustee Kennedy, any further clarification?
Yes, I just wondering where you can point to that information. On the Education Act, it says here a class shall have fewer and have 23 or fewer pupils. And that's it. Doesn't say anything about any exceptions or piercing the number. Where do you see that you can have more than 20?
So, Trustee Kennedy, let's come back to the table, to the report. Let's come back.
So this is just a student achievement. We don't get
the general question.
Yeah.
We won't have that discussion here. If it's something I'd rather stay focused and conversation based on the report. So did Director Klein talk about class size? I did give you that opportunity the first time. So let's stay focused on what we're doing here. Otherwise, we're going to be all night long.
Just clarification, then when can we talk about class size? Will there ever be a report that comes out for the trustees to look at?
Let me check with that. Superintendent, also we have reports coming out. Not sure.
You, Chair, class size compliance reports are posted on the board's website.
Yeah.
So they were posted on the board's website. It's compliance of that point in time, Trustee Kennedy, and the board can pierce those classes after compliance.
Right.
And did we report that in early September, the class sizes for elementary?
I think there are 2 dates.
You can, you have it, sorry, through you, Chair. You have up until October 31st to be in compliance. The ministry gives that As you know, here in Halton Catholic, we've had very little reorganization in our schools since September. So there's consistency for our students and those relationships they build with the teachers.
So we did October or September,
Wherever we get to compliance is when we submit compliance.
which was September.
September.
So, Trustee Kennedy, let's move on to next.
I'd just like to know where we can pierce it if it doesn't say that in the Education Act. I don't see that anywhere. So that's our role as trustees, right?
So last time I checked, there was something on the board website, and I did follow up to make sure it was there, right? The superintendent, I think we have that. So any further questions?
Yeah, those are averages though. They're not individual classes. Those are average.
For you, Chair, Trustee Kennedy, it's a board average for the compliance Ministry of Education.
That's an average, but there's also a requirement for individual classes. There's two components. It's right here. You know it's there. And we 2 years in a row.
I'm sorry, point of order.
Let's continue with the board meeting.
What's the point of order?
The point of order is that you're being demeaning
To the chair.
My point of order, and I'm happy to pull up my references. My point of order is that the comments from Trustee Kennedy are demeaning to a member of our senior staff.
Thank you, Trustee Agnew. I did hear Trustee Kennedy pushing staff for an answer, and it's full of trustee. So I think it was demeaning.
I'm happy to roll back the tape later and I'll bring this up at the next meeting. Thank you,
Let's
Mr. Chair.
just continue.
No, you said something.
Trustees.
Don't shush me. Don't shush me.
Trustees.
Can you stop talking?
Trustees, Trustee Saunders. We have one meeting happening. One trustee will speak at a time. I'm right now addressing an issue here. Trustees. Okay, thank you for patience. Trustee Kennedy, let's continue with this meeting.
Thank you. Questions?
And let's all stay focused on the report and stuff that we really need to get done. We still have a few things left, so let's stay focused on the meeting. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Director Klein, for presenting Director's monthly update. I shall now move on to item 11.2, capital projects reports as of November 30, 2025. We do not have Superintendent Lofts here. Director Klein, do you know who's presenting this report? Superintendent Merrick, please present the report.
Yeah, in front of you, you have the capital purchase report. It's up until the end of November last year. Again, if you have questions, it's Superintendent Lofts' report. I can try to answer questions for you if you have them. If not, I can follow up with them afterwards.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions regarding the capital project reports? Trustee Kennedy, I see your hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Any other trustees have questions for Superintendent Lofts and Superintendent Merrick? If not, thank you, Superintendent Merrick, for presenting the report. Next up, item 11.3, construction report. Superintendent Merrick, please present your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, we'll keep this brief. We have two projects on the file tonight. We have Milton number 11, which is similar to what it looked like last month. But we are moving ahead with tendering next week. So that project is moving along now and expect to see actually the site looks much different now, covered in snow. But as the snow melts off, we'll be into mobilizing on the site and getting construction going there and getting very close to our final one as well. And then second, we have Georgetown West, which Director Klein already stole my thunder on this one here, but a little bit of mobilization on site. As mentioned, it is tendered and awarded now. And our foundation permit is imminent. So again, the site looks a little different now with a foot of snow on it. But we're going to hopefully be in the ground in the next week or two as our permit comes through, which is exciting for that site.
Thank you, Superintendent Merrick. Trustees, any questions for Superintendent Merrick?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, to Superintendent Merrick. A little late to the party. What's going to happen with Holy Cross once this school is built?
Superintendent Merrick.
Yeah, so there's a big boundary review or student accommodation process last year. It is slated to become, after we open up the new Georgetown West school, there are some boundary changes, but most of the regular track English students will be going over to Georgetown West. That gives us a period to do some renovations and fix-ups on the existing Holy Cross. And that would reopen a period of time later as the French immersion school for 1 to 8 in Georgetown. So right now, you'll know, you may not know, but in the south we have, I think it's grade 1 to 5 at St. Bridget and 6 to 8 to St. Catherine. It might have been flipped. But there's the French immersion split across 2 schools in the south. Neither school is big enough to house the entire French immersion program. So this would kind of alleviate some of the enrollment, or I guess, accommodation issues at both of those schools and move the whole French program up to existing Holy Cross School.
Great, so there's gonna be some renovation. It's a little.
Yeah, and those we're working on. My team's working on those designs. It's a very old school and one of our in our worst conditions. Gonna have a good, better, best look at what we can do there, and obviously with 3 varying prices on that as well. That'll come to the board after we get finalized on designs for that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent. Up next is the Vice Chair Chandra. To the floor.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Director Klein and Superintendent Merrick. We can't get it done by September 2026, eh, Ryan?
Superintendent Merrick.
Sorry.
So it's answer is no.
Answer is still no. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, Vice Chair? Okay, I see your hand down. So thank you for the questions. Superintendent Merrick, thank you for your report. 11.4 upgrade to a boardroom technology. Superintendent Love's not here, but I'm assuming it'll be Senior Manager Bill Cripps. Go ahead.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. The report provided just gives a summary of what we've done here with the boardroom as it relates to upgrading the boardroom technology over the last few years. This is a multi-use space throughout the day by a lot of the staff and then yourselves for our board meetings. And we're sort of at the point now where we've done all that we could do as relates to the hardware to ensure, you know, we have good sound going out to our live streams, good sounds going out to any of our remote meetings that have the capabilities for a lot of additional options when it comes to presentations here in the boardroom. So I'm hopeful that can bring this side of this outstanding item to a closure, as we sort of done all we could do without having to add additional support staff in here then to, you know, provide overall assistance to support meetings. So really the only real limitations would now be adding more people to support meetings in the evenings.
Thank you, Mr. Cripps. Yeah, so my motion many months back, and I think we've done a good job. We are at a good point. There's one thing in that motion which I really would like to see, and it's the automated voting system, which we need to think and talk about later. But I think I mean, this was pre-COVID times when we had our starting problems, we had our technology issues, and I think we have come a very long way to improve and kind of be consistent. So we give our viewers the opportunity to look at our meetings and view and review them, and we give trustees the opportunity to work from away from the boardroom, and I think it's really good. So yeah, I'm okay with that part of from the business arising, but I think I'll give the opportunity to trustees to comment. I think we've done a good job. Trustees, any comments?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think I was on the original committee.
Yes.
And it really was more relating to COVID and some of the challenges we had. And we thought that was going to be our reality forever. And thankfully it's not. I think I recall at the time through eScribe, we looked at the voting, but it was like $70,000 or $80,000 to upgrade the software. And that's why we didn't do it. But the sound system's great, much improved. The air conditioning is wonderful. Well, sorry, that's a different matter. But yeah, I think this is as good as it can get, right, for now.
Good. Trustee Kiran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the upgrade. So what happens to these microphones, and why are they still here?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, decoration is not my strong suit. What I will say is we did leave these units in here as I will say we do have some soft-spoken individuals there, so we may have Some of these units still remain to provide some amplification just in the event someone's having a bad voice day.
Yeah.
I know from myself, usually talking throughout the day, the voice will drag on in the evenings. So it may be something to say it will be a little bit spread out and at least be some assistance in the event, individuals are soft-spoken there. And just, as a further comment to it, is this style of room here will always see ongoing upgrades year over year. Technology, like all of us know, is always changing. So we do have some budget set aside not only for repairs. One thing that is not in my report is we actually did have to replace that center computer there. So these are a lot of the ongoing repairs and maintenance that are needed with tech, along with being sure we address any sort of cyber concerns that also relate to the technology that you don't see behind the scenes here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Any other trustees have questions? If not, thank you for presenting the report. Really appreciate it. We'll get that item off the rising. But I'd still like to investigate the electronic voting if we can, because it's going to take that off my on my hands. So it's done automatically. But anyway, thanks for that report. With that, we shall move on to item number 12. Miscellaneous information, 12.1, student trustees update. Student trustees, go ahead.
I guess I'll start us off because I know.
You amplify.
Oh yeah, of course. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I guess I'll start us off. I know Rose here is tackled achieving. So Rose, do you want to start off with achieving?
Sure. Do note that my parents are asleep in the other room, so I'm going to have to speak very quietly for this next bit. So in regards to achieving, I'll keep this as brief as possible. We first sort of talk about exams. We also touch on our student senate meeting, which will be occurring on February 4th. It will be our last senate meeting before elections, as well as 2 proposals. These have already been mentioned in the last report, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to elaborate. One is from the Student Achievement and Leadership Committee, and another is from Environmental Stewardship. They aim to reduce trash from foods sold at schools. That is the Environmental Stewardship Committee's proposal. And the Achievement and Leadership is a very large proposal that I can't really get into all at once. But among the things is sort of helping grade 9's transition, both in terms of exams, as well as the actual transition from grade 8 to grade 9. As we all know, it's a pretty tough transition at first. We're also excited to report OSTA ACO's Education Action Conference, which will be occurring from the 19th to the 22nd of February. Both Valini and Maya Sophia will be going to that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go due to a scheduling conflict. And the last thing, I think this is sort of touched on becoming, but we did host a student trustee information session for candidates explaining the position. And as we approach the day of speeches and elections, we encourage any interested students to engage in the process, stay informed, and feel free to reach out. I think Valini will tackle believing.
Yeah, so usually Maya takes this one, but I'm really pleased to share that our Faith in Action Subcommittee is bringing forward a new initiative called the HCDSB Funding Futures Campaign. So I'm really excited to be overseeing this one, especially in particular, because it's kind of like a shoebox drive in which I think they're working with another organization that will be providing shoeboxes to different schools at no cost, and students will have the opportunity to fill it with from a list of goods for those in need. And so I'm just really excited for this one. It's one of our upcoming projects, and I just signed off on it yesterday, so it's going to be voted on at our next meeting. So again, I'm really excited, and this will definitely we'll definitely talk about this one a lot more in the coming months. Additionally, in terms of belonging, our Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Subcommittee has made a lot of progress on the Culture Night initiative that we mentioned in previous reports. So this motion did pass at our last Senate meeting. So now they're working with a variety of schools to start putting it into place. So they're going to be finalizing logistics. And the first one is set to be hosted in April at Assumption. So we're super excited for this. And We'll do some more of this in the coming months. So it's a bit of a shorter report just because things have been a little bit bumpy with exams and winter break. But that just about summarizes our report. I think we'll hear covered coming.
I mean, I could discuss it a little further. Again, I want to make this brief. I've got an exam Thursday, but I can't speak too much on Becoming. I didn't write it, but it does sort of speak about the student trustee information session that we held. So there were quite a few participants. They were given an overview of the position's history, current responsibilities, benefits, challenges. We want candidates to have a very good understanding of the position because, we know it is a very abrupt position, let's say. So a lot of the details have to be explained very quickly. So we're trying to make that transition, a little bit easier. And then those who missed the session have been told to reach out via Microsoft Teams, email, as well as a lot of other platforms for access to the slideshow, as well as answers to the questions. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, student trustees, for presenting your report. Trustees, any questions or comments for student trustees online or in the boardroom? If not, thank you, student trustees, for presenting your report. Really appreciate that. We move on to item 12.2, OCST update. Vice Chair Halton, do you have a report to present?
I do. Thank you through Mr. Chair. I really am going to talk about the trustee seminar that a fair amount of trustees attended over the weekend, January 16th and 17th. I just kind of want to give a highlight of some of the topics that were discussed over the weekend. So we came into gathering prayer with Father Jim Mockler, our chaplain. And then there was a presentation of the OXTA Short Video Awards from Catholic elementary schools and Catholic secondary schools. So we did task Director Klein with getting us in the top 1 to 3 next year in elementary or secondary or both, Director Klein. So over to you on that one. Keynote address was by Most Reverend Gerard Burgee. He talked about Inspired by Faith, United in Mission, Ontario's Catholic School Trustees. Then we had a president's report, and then we had another presentation by Jamie Cook, and he talked about Canada at a Crossroads, navigating Ontario's demographic and economic future to the year 2051. And then we had some workshops. Some of our workshops was a panel discussion, transparency, accountability, and good stewardship of financial resources. That was a panel discussion. Effective advocacy for Catholic school boards. We talked about that. A conversation in the spirit, strengthening relationships, cultivating deep listening, and discerning priorities. Another workshop was crisis management practices in Catholic schools. And then the student trustees that attended, they had a workshop called Pilgrims of Hope on the Path to Holiness, a pastoral letter to the young people. Then in the afternoon, we had a presentation by Mark Weber. He is the special advisor to the provost on leadership strategy and development from the University of Waterloo. That was a really great presentation. And then Saturday, we had a Eucharistic celebration, and then OXTA went through a new resolutions process. They're going to try to make it more automated through a process called DOTS. And then at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, we listened to Dr. David Coletto talk about current trends impacting education in Ontario. So that was a lot. Anyone here that's wishing to, there is a link that I can send out that has all the presentations and handouts about the event, but it was very much worth our while. And I'm glad, even through the snowstorm on that Thursday, there was about 181 people in attendance. So it was very well attended. And I always take away something from those events. So really, that's my report for this week.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I want to thank trustees who attended the conference too. Really good. We had a good attendance at the conference. So thank you so much for that. Trustees, any questions for Vice Chair? Seeing none, thank you once again, Vice Chair, as Director of our Regional Director, for the work you do at OCST. Really appreciate that. Thank you. So now move on to item number 14, open question period. Director Klein, have you received any questions for this?
No.
Thank you. Director Klein, our next order of business is in camera. We do not have to go in camera. And then we move on to resolutions regarding absentees. Item number 16, we have to excuse student trustee Adelie. We have a motion to excuse student trustee Adelie. Trustee Carabella moves. Looking for a seconder. Trustee Murphy seconds. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Student trustee Adelie is excused. We now move on to item number 17, adjournment and closing prayer. May I have a motion to adjourn? Trustee Agnew moves. Trustee Murphy seconds. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Vice Chair Janana, could you lead us with the closing prayer?
Thank you, Chair. It'd be my honor. In the sign of our faith, name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. A prayer for the homeless and vulnerable this winter. Heavenly Father, we pray for those who face the harsh winter without a home. Provide them with shelter, warmth, and safety. Stir our hearts to support local shelters, donate what we can, and volunteer our time. May we be your hands and feet in serving the vulnerable, ensure no one is left cold and alone this season. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Vice Chair Janana. Thanks for a great meeting. Good night.
Thank you, Chair.